Hi, and welcome back to Craft Along with Jay. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Sierra, and I am so happy that you could join me this evening. Today, I have four Easter Decor DIYs with you using random things from the Dollar Tree, and I'm hoping these items can inspire you in some way to make your own Easter crafts. So, let's go ahead and get started. For project number one, we are going to get started with these two carrot-shaped pouches from the Dollar Tree. I've had those in my stash, so I'm not quite sure if they are selling them this year or not. I think they are. And then I got this carrot ribbon from the Dollar Tree, which is something new for my Dollar Trees. I haven't seen this before, but I was super excited to find it because I thought it would go really well with my little carrot pouches right here. So yeah, I'm just gonna measure out how much I need. So it's something I'm gonna get attached to the back side of them. So I'm just looking at how far down I want it to go, and then flip it over to see how it's looking. And then I'm going to attach the other end of the ribbon to the other carrot pouch. So as you're probably already guessing, we're going to make a little door hanger swag kind of thing, but just using, some different items that you wouldn't typically see or that I haven't seen others do. Um, But here I'm just going to find where I want the crease to be on my ribbon, where it's going to hang, so that way I don't want them to be level side by side. I want one to be down a little bit further than the other one. And then I'll go ahead and cut my ribbon. And then I'm going to go ahead and stuff my carrots with some polyfill. And I wanted to stuff them just to give it some thickness, give it a more realistic look. And also because, I kind of need it. Instead of putting floral foam in there, I'm going to use this instead. And I just kind of stick it in there, making sure you get down to the tip of the carrots. Yep, I need it to get it all the way down right here. And then I'm just going to pull the ties a little bit because eventually we will tie them. So I want to make sure that I had enough polyfill in there. And then once I've done that to both of them, I'm going to go ahead and glue them down onto my ribbon. And it's going down pretty far, because I want to make sure it has good stability, although we do have to reinforce it with some uh, craft sticks here in a little bit. But here I'm just gluing onto the orange part of the carrot, not the green part yet, just because I still have to pull the strings, and you can't really do that if it's all glued down onto the ribbon. So I'm starting it out with this. Yeah, I'm still making sure that I can pull my strings. It's not glued all the way down. And then here comes the fun part. I got a bunch of florals that we're going to be using. And then I'm just going to go ahead and start cutting them and adding them into my little carrot pouches here. And you can do any color, any kind, as many or as little as you want, whatever makes you happy. So I liked a lot of colors, so I was trying to get bright yellows and pinks and stuff. Um, I noticed something about yellow in the springtime. It's not typically my favorite flower, but in the springtime I really do like it. Probably because I like daffodils in the springtime. Maybe that's why. You do what makes you happy. And here I'm just gonna keep stuffing them in there. Then I have some other little fillers to go in between. And I'm cutting away and I just keep going until my heart is happy. And I do try to, at the tip of the flower, I kind of bend it forward a little bit. So when I do stick it in, instead of them going straight up, they're leaning forward a little bit so you can see them. Um, the ones that let me do it, not all of them. And then I'm gonna tie them right here, tie them up so that way, we didn't need any floor foam to hold it in place. When you tie it up, it held them in place. And here I got these two little bunny heads that I'm gonna stick in there as well, in between the flowers. And here I got my popsicle sticks that I'm gonna glue to the back just to give it extra stability because the carrots are now a little bit more heavy, so they're gonna tilt forward. So I've decided to glue these on the back. So a little bit down towards the orange part of carrots, and then I go, I think pretty far up on the back side. Probably you can't see them, but I think it's up towards the top of the flowers. So it goes up a little bit so that way it can't um, go to the side or go forward or anything like that. So you know what I do to one carrot pouch, I'll do the same thing to the other one. And then I needed to tie them a little bit tighter than I had originally because I want to make sure nothing is coming out of my little pouch right here. And then I got to get the popsicle stick on that one as well. I didn't think I was going to show you both, but I guess I am. Yeah, making sure, trying to see how far I went down. And then I'm just going to use some hot glue to my popsicle stick and then add it to the carrot and the ribbon. Just having a little trouble to get my glue stick to kind of catch in the glue gun. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a struggle. And here I just very gently press it down. And then I just made a simple awareness bow um, to add to the top. And I just tied that around the longer piece of the ribbon with some jute twine. And then I'll cut the excess off. I just double knotted it. That'll hold that in place. And then I'm going to fluff up my bow, the loops on my bow, and I had ducktailed both tails. And this is what it looks like. I think it turned out really cute. It's fun, it's different, and it's very vibrant. I like that. Okay, let's move on to project number two. I got this, it's like a paper mache cone, and I'm gonna um, use some, I'm so sorry, got a little bit of allergy issues today. Use some jute twine, and I'm gonna wrap that around the cone. So I started with some hot glue, and then on the down the side a little bit, and add my jute twine, and then loop it over the pointy top of the cone, if that makes sense. And then I'm gonna start wrapping it. And as I'm wrapping it, that piece we had glued down to start it all is getting wrapped on top, so that way nothing can unravel. And I'll just spin it, and then I'll add a dab of glue here and there just to help hold it in place. And I spin it all the way to the top. Once I get close to the top, I'm going to add hot glue more frequently just because it's so close to the edge and I don't want it to kind of slide up over. That way it'll stay in place. But this didn't take much time at all. It went by fairly quickly. Yeah, you can see here I'm going a bit slower and I'm adding more hot glue to keep it in place. And then once you're all done, I cut a little bit of a long tail and then I glued that inside the cone. So I'm not cutting too close to where the tip of the cone, it went down inwards. And then I'm going to get some foil foam. I'm going to find a piece that's close enough in shape. I'm trying to figure out which way to put it in. But if I lay it like this, and then I just went around with my little tool right here and just cut around the opening of the cone. This would be kind of cool, that cone, when I was working on it. It kind of reminded me of an ice cream cone. So that may be a good idea for like a summer project. Make ice cream cones with these. But here I'm going to add my little foil foam in there. I'm just going to press it down and it's very snug. You don't need any hot glue to hold it in place. It's very snug. And the little bit that's sticking up over the edge, I'm just going to cut that down to size. And then I'm going to add some reindeer moss to the top just to give a little greenery because you will be able to see the top of it. So I didn't want it to look like foil foam. I want it to look like, some moss. Gives it a much nicer, clean look. And I'm just using some hot glue. to cover up the whole top. I'm kind of pulling them into pieces just to kind of spread it out a little bit more, if that makes sense. And then once I've done that, I got these things that I got, I think, from Hobby Lobby a couple of years ago. I've already used some of them, so I still had some leftovers. And I'm just gonna start cutting them off one by one. I think I used most of them. And then here to cut them down so they can stick into the floral foam, I had to take the big berries off at the bottom. And then I'll just, stick it into my floral foam and I'll arrange them until I feel like I had enough in there. And those little bears that we're cutting off, we're going to use those as well. Because, I don't know if you can see it from here, but they really look like little um, Easter eggs. So we're going to add those to the reindeer moss at the bottom of the flower picks right here. So it looks like little Easter eggs down there. So I just add a little bit of hot glue to them and then just place them in there in the bottom. Just be careful because they are kind of slippery and they're very small. I probably should have used some tweezers, but um, it's easy to burn your fingers on the hot glue, handling them being so small and slippery. And I just putting in as many as I can fit in there, and it still looks the way I want it to look. And the ones I have left over, I just put to the side. I will save them because you never know when you're going to need it in the future. I save everything. All right, so we put that to the side. Then I got this wood book from the Dollar Tree and this placemat. And I'm going to measure that out onto my wood block. So here, the first thing I'm going to see is how many of the tulips and the bunny heads that I can fit on there on the side. And you can see I just got to cut down into the side. And then I think I get two of each, looks like. Yeah, I already forgot. So I'm making sure that it goes from one end to the other. And I'm not, yeah, see, I'm pulling it down a little bit because I want it to be flush with the edge of the wood book. And then I'm going to trace around how much I need to cover the rest of the wood book with the placemat part. It's sort of like flannel feel to it. And yeah, that's how it's going to fit. And then I decided, well, I don't like that wood color showing through. I want it to give more like an Easter look. So I'm going to use this Dutch Aqua. Oops. And I dropped it. And I'm going to lighten it up some more. It was a little too dark for my liking. So I'm going to use some Waverly's chalk paint and plaster. And I'm going to add a little bit into my little dish right there. And then I'm going to start mixing it. And I don't put the plaster into the Dutch aqua. I'm separating them, and then I'm gonna take some of the aqua and add it to the white, and then I gradually add more and more until, I'm happy with the color, and that's the color that I want to use. So I just keep mixing, and then once I'm happy with the color, I'm gonna paint it on. I don't paint the whole thing. I'm just gonna paint, I think about half of it, just the part that's gonna show when I lay down part of the placemat so you can see it through the tulips and the bunny heads. And then I also did the sides as well. So you can see here the white part of the placemat is covering the wood book, so there's no need to paint it. But then the bluish color is showing on the top, which I thought was really nice. I like that color. And then I'm just going to hot glue it into place. I'm going to start just with one side, and then I'm going to do all the way around, and then I'm going up and just lifting the bunny heads and the tulips and adding some glue up under there. And that's holding it in place just fine. And I'm kind of just going along the edge right here. I'm going slowly just I want to make sure that it's flush and it's going to line up once I get to the other end so there's no overhang or anything like that. So and once I've done that, that's what it looks like. But this is not how it's going to stand. I'm going to turn it around and stand it the other way to give it a little bit of a different look. And then I'm going to add my little cone here with my pit berries. And then once I figure out which way I want it to lay, then I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue it down. So it's like a different kind of shelf setup, but it's kind of a neat idea, to use the placement like that. And I'm hoping this would inspire you to use these placements. There's so many different ways that you can use them. This is just one of the ways that I wanted to do it. And I had a lot of fun with it. And you gotta admit, they're very cute with the little bunny heads and the tulips around the edges. So much fun. Now, I don't know if they have them in other colors. This is the only color that I saw at my Dollar Tree. Let me know if you've seen them in other colors. That would be kind of cool to get other colors involved. But I made it work with the white one. It goes with anything that you put on it, so I guess that's kind of a win, right? So, yep, that's gonna be it for this one. I think it turned out super cute. I think it's a very neat shelf sitter. Let me know what you think about this one. All right, so let's move on to project number 3. This time we're going to use this wooden cross that I found at the Dollar Tree. And I only picked up one, and I regret that. I need to just start picking up several when I see things, because when I went back, they didn't have any more. So I have to look periodically to see if they get them back, because I really want some more. But anyway, I painted it with burnt umber. And then once that was dry, I'm going in with some crackle medium. I'm going to shake it up really well because some of that, and I kind of separated whatever's in there. So it was like clear on the top and the white part of it was at the bottom. So I wanted to shake it up and mix it really well. And then I'm just pouring some out onto my cross. And then I'm gonna brush it onto to the top side here. I got a little bit too much, so I do end up having to brush some of it off. But make sure you get a nice good coat on here. You see, I had too much, so here I'm gonna get my little plate right here and start just brushing some of it off. And then once you've done that and you get it to a point that you're happy with the amount that you have on there, and it's not like super soaked like mine was for a second there, then go ahead and let it sit and dry till it's completely dry. I had let mine sit for like hours. And then I'm going to paint it with some nutmeg brown. And I know they say just do one stroke, no more than two. This was very thin and I did very lightly, so I kind of just painted. It wasn't like a thick layer or anything like that, and it wasn't chalk paint. It was an acrylic paint. So I just very lightly, but I just kind of painted it. And then once I've done that, I'm gonna go in with my heat gun and I'm gonna speed it up. And I'm giving you a little bit of a closer look here so you can start seeing it crackle. I always love watching this. I think it's so cool. See, you can see it's starting to crackle right there. So I wanted my cross to look, you know, old, um, like real wood, just to give it something, a different look that, you would normally see. So, and I keep doing it till it's mostly dry. I think there was just a couple of wet spots, but I was going to work on some other things while that was finishing up drying. But look, you can kind of see the crackle. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I love this. Then I got this longer. It's not a wood book. It's just a piece of wood, I guess, from the Dollar Tree. And I went ahead and stained it with Waverly's chalk, not chalk paint, Waverly's antique wax. And then once that is dry, I'm gonna go in with some chalk paint and plaster, and I'm gonna distress it pretty well. I didn't want it too dark just because the cross is dark. So I wanted to distress it with some plaster just to give it a lighter look. And it looks really nice together, so I'm glad I did that. So I'm going pretty heavy here, but I'm not covering the whole thing up, so you're still able to see the stain underneath here. And I just kept going until um, I had the look that I was liking. Then I had this rice paper that I got from decopartsnapkin.com, and I'm going to use that round one. And I'm just going to go around with a fine tip brush and dip it in some water and then go around my rice paper image right here. And then I'm going to very gently start ripping it. I didn't want clean cut. I wanted to rip it just to help with, more of an age look, more of a rustic look. So I'm just going in sections right here and very gently rip it. And then once I've done that, I'm going to figure out where to position it on my cross. And I wanted it right here in the middle. So this is all going really well. And then I just had to take it a step further, and then I ended up not liking it, and there's like no way for me to fix it. So I kind of have to go with it. So yeah, I'm just using some Mod Podge to get it down, and I really like how those look. But then I decided it being a circle where it's placed, it was taking away from the shape of the cross. So I decided to, in my head, fix it. And I shouldn't have done that. But I wanted to show you, so I cut here, and then I'm just gonna gently file it off the excess paper, and I do that all the way around. And I just don't like how that looked. Then I like it better with the whole round part on top. Um, but there was no turning back at this point. Then here I'm going in with some tumbling tower blocks, and I'm going to position them on the back because when I glue it onto my other wood block right there, I want it to have an erased look, just to give it some more dimension to it, some more 3D effect. And here I'm just going to use some hot glue and glue them into place. And then I'm going to add some hot glue to the top of them as well. And then I'll adhere it to the piece of wood. And then I wanted to go in with some white flowers. I was trying to hide it up in the corners right here of the cross where I had um, filed the excess paper off. So I'm putting one in each corner all the way around, which looks okay. I think I was just so bummed that I didn't leave it the way it was to begin with, that it didn't matter what I was trying. I just couldn't make it look right. But if you have any suggestions, any ideas, please let me know of how I can fix this. Or if you just like it the way it is. It may just be me just because I was so upset that I had changed it. I should have left it alone, that I just couldn't see it being right any other way. Then I also wanted to add some of the bigger white flowers at the bottom, although these are ivory colored. I didn't have any of the bigger white ones. Um, so I'm gluing them down, but I'm not liking that. I don't feel like it flows with anything. But this is all I had. I haven't been able, at my Dollar Tree, I haven't seen any like white flowers. It's always been like ivory or yellowish side kind of flowers. So I'm gonna be on the lookout for some white flowers, like white. So I'm adding some here at the bottom, and then I also added one to each corner at the top, which I don't like either. So here I changed the bottom. I put some lambs here in. Let me know what you think about this one. Um, I like it, but I want to save it, if that makes sense. So project number 4, this is one of these little hanging frames with the glass in the middle. And I want to redo this, although I like the flower in here, and it has a little word that says welcome in gold. But I wanted to make it an Easter decor piece. So luckily it comes off easy. Here it doesn't make any sense. It has these little um, tips that you pull up, and you should be able to get that glass out. Well, that piece of glass is glue stuck, so it's not coming out. So I was like, oh well, we'll work with it like this. And here I'm just this little flower here. It's like a stick or something. Once you kind of got it lifted, then it was easy to pull off. It just leaves a little bit of sticky residue behind, which I just went in and used some Goo Gone, and that took care of that. It wasn't much, it was just a little bit, but you still want to make sure your glass is clean. So glue gun, um, Goo Gone took care of that. And here I'm going in with my little razor right here, just to get the little wording off. You can see how I scraped that off very easily too. So it's easy to clean, and now you've got a black canvas to work with. So I'm going to go in with some Waverly's chalk paint in Waverly. I mean, in celery. And I'm going to paint the top of my frame and the outside ring of the frame. And I'm going to go ahead and give it 2 coats just to get a nice full coverage. Then I have this window cling, and I'm going to fussy cut around it as well the best I can. So I'm going as close as I can. And then because it's so big, once I put it inside on this glass, it doesn't really have anything to hold onto once you seal it in. So I went ahead and cut the middle part out at the bottom and the top and left the words there attached to the side. So it's still one piece, but it has an opening at the top and the bottom. So once you add it to your glass and you put Mod Podge on top, you sealing it in and it's attached to the glass, if that makes sense. But here I'm going to go ahead and give it a coat of Mod Podge first. I don't know if you really necessarily need to do this because it's a window cling. I just want to make sure that it was staying put. So um, I added just a nice good coat without being too thick. And then I'm going to lay it right down in there. And it's going to be a tiny bit overhang because it's a little bit bigger than the glass part. And you'll see I'll just go in with an X-Acto knife and then just kind of trim around where it's sticking up. And you can see once I start pressing it down, there's a little bit of an excess there on the edge. And here I'm going in with my X-Acto knife just to cut that real quick. And it doesn't take away from anything on the picture when you look at it from the front. And then, oh here I'm pulling the extra part because now that I painted it with celery, now the ribbon that it was attached to didn't match, so I took that off. And here I'm going in with some Mod Podge and I'm going to seal it in. And here you can see I have that space that you can see to the glass, and now it can adhere together. And then I'm going to go in with some, once that's completely dry, I'm going in with Waverly's chalk paint and plaster, and I'm going to give it 2 nice coats here on the back. So I give it 1 coat, let it fully dry, and then I give it another coat. And that's a good thing when you seal it, it's not going to bleed up under the window cling. And also, because it's glass, you're going to be able to paint it and it's going to adhere just fine. Then I got this beaded trim from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to cut, a piece off to use as a hanger. And what I'm doing, I'm going to hot glue it down to each side where the other hanger used to be. And I'm just using a little bit of hot glue. And then I'll take a piece of masking tape just to kind of on top. There's still some hot glue on the side, so once you put the masking tape down, the hot glue will melt onto it and it's going to help hold it in place. Just a little bit of extra security. And I do the same thing on the other side. So, and that's going to be it for this one. I think it turned out super cute. I love how I turned these different things into other decor pieces. That was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it. Let me know what you think about this one as well. So let's take a final look of everything that I made today. And I really hope you enjoyed them all. And I'm feeling um, inspired to use some of these items for something. Maybe, this kind of gave you an idea for something else. But, I'm just here to inspire, not, necessarily make the exact same thing. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed them all. Let me know what you think. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video with me, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, like, comment, and hype my video. It means the world to me. So with that being said, enjoy the last bit right here, and I'll see you next time.